Om Shanti. Good evening. Welcome.
Om Shanti.
Everyone is doing well. So today we have taken up the topic, don't take it personally. Don't take it personally. In Sunday's message, we heard that Baba was saying we should be doing what kind of service? Service through the
Mind.
mind, And if we see, we anyways radiate vibrations from our mind, thoughts from our mind all the time. And we can only serve through the mind when the mind is healed and the mind is at peace. And one thing that often comes in our way of having a peaceful mind is we take something personally. And when we take something personally, then the mind cannot be in the moment. The mind goes into some kind of extra thinking. And that's where we thought it'll be good to take up this topic and try and explore it deeper. So when we look at this, what do we mean by how does it feel, or what are some of the examples when we take something personally? So it says, did I say something wrong? Why didn't they reply to me? What did they think of me? Do they think I'm not good enough? Right? So it's like constantly trying to kind of find my worth or my value in the story outside or in other people's opinions, right? Or events. So it says some of us seem to spend a large chunk of time and energy concerned about what others think of me, often spending hours in our heads wondering why people were upset with me. Right? And all these are, if we see, these are always thoughts, right? But, the moment we go into that, at that moment, we are not then able to serve through our mind. Right? So let's try and look at this subject a little bit in depth today. Ciao. So this one says, hurt people, healed people, heal people. So if I'm hurt inside, can I heal anyone? I cannot, right? And so to heal others is service through the mind. When I can heal, it's just then the positive vibrations, the vibrations of the soul and of the divine can heal and radiate, right? And so when we take something personally, what happens? We feel hurt. So the sign of being, of taking anything personally is that I will feel hurt, right? And then if I'm hurt, I will also hurt others around me, right? And so if we take it in the other way, if I'm feeling hurt by someone, if I'm saying, oh, someone hurt me, I have to first think that they themselves are hurt. It's only that's the reason why they, may have hurted, because the soul themselves are hurt, right? And so the precondition to heal others is to heal first myself. And that is just to not take anything personally. This one says, no one outside me can hurt me. That's not a possibility. It's only when I believe a story that I get hurt. So it says, no one outside me can hurt me. So who can hurt me then? Who is the only one person that can hurt me? Is me. Because no one outside can hurt me. It is only when I believe a story that I get hurt. So it's actually a story, but the moment I believe in it, it's that moment that I feel hurt. So I've taken it personally. It says, don't take things personally. What other people say about you is their reality, not yours. What other people say about you, think about you, is their reality, not yours. So, that's what Baba says sometimes. Don't go into drama. It's like when I've, or Parchintan, right? It's like the moment I have gone into anyone's story of what they are thinking or what they are doing, and that moment I have taken it personally, right? And then it will affect me. And then I feel that they are affecting me, but I am affecting myself because I have tapped into their story, their drama. Mhm. Sure. How to know you are taking things personally? What are some of the signs that you know that you take things personally? So these are some examples. It says you spend a lot of time guessing whether people are upset with you. Keep on guessing. You're easily offended by the words and actions of others around you, including strangers. You remember grudges for a long time. You get upset and defensive when you receive any kind of criticism. You think negatively of people who disagree with you, and you're certain that they don't like you. Mhm. You feel that everything is a big deal. You have been told that you like to overreact to things. Mhm. See, there's some of the signs when we can realize that, yes, now I have started to take things personally. Mhm. Right? Mhm. There's some other ways, it says, other ways that we can realize that, we have taken it personally. You worry what people think of you. Your feelings get hurt easily, called sensitive. If a friend doesn't invite you, you assume it's because they don't like you. You hold grudges, hard to let things go. You get angry or defensive quickly. You play conversations in your head over and over. You are uptight, often feel on guard. You tend to overthink or overread people's motives. For example, if someone does something nice for you, you assume there is a hidden motive. Mhm. You don't take criticism well. You believe that people don't say what they really mean. If they compliment you, it's a lie. And we can relate to some of these things, right? How the mind can trick us. And we want to believe something which is not so good. Like criticism, we would like to believe. But a good, comment or a feedback, will say, oh no, they're just lying or. Right? So all of this means that it's a sign that we have taken it personally. Any other signs? Anyone wants to share any other signs of taking it personally? Mhm. Mhm. So now let's look at what are the reasons why we take things personally. So this one says there are 5 reasons why you might take things personally. First, says low self-esteem. So when I'm feeling low, then I'll take things personally. Second, it says negative experiences in the past. Then oversensitivity. Then lack of emotional boundaries. Then it says family pressure. Right? So all of these things are reasons why we take things personally. Right? So family pressure is basically how I, the experiences that I had in my childhood, if they were negative, then it's like my self-esteem then is on the lower side. And then I tend to take things personally. So if we see out of the 5 major negativities or vices, which one is more active here? When I take anything personally, which one is more active? Yeah, out of the 5 main vices, which one is at play? Ego, correct. Ego, right? So it is the ego that, and then sometimes we can become very sensitive. A little example that we often give is, suppose I, went to a store and I bought a plant from a store. And then I placed the plant in my living room. Now, a bit later, one of my friend comes, right? And the friend says, "Oh, what a beautiful plant. I will also buy a similar plant. Tell me, where did you buy it from?" So how will I feel? I'll feel good. I'll feel really good. And then the next day, another friend comes. And then he looks around everywhere in the room, but he doesn't notice the plant. And I'm trying to, take his attention, bring his attention to the plant, but he is not. And so what I feel ignored in a way, right? And the next day, another person comes, another friend, and he says, "What an awful plant. This is a very ugly looking plant. I'm sure you must have spent a lot of money. Next time, take me with you and I'll tell you a better, plant." So how will I feel? I'll feel hurt, right? So if I step back and see these 3 people, they are commenting about the plant, but I feel they are commenting about me. Why? Because internally, I feel I am the plant, right? So I've taken it personally. So it's all about ego. So I have misidentified myself with the plant, right? And there is a very interesting uh, concept in psychology, which is called the spotlight effect. Anyone knows the spotlight effect? Yeah. The spotlight effect means in our minds, we assume we are the center stage. Means I am at the center of everything. That's the commentary in our minds. But in reality, most people are doing the exact same thing, thinking about themselves. So I feel everyone is thinking about me. But no, that's not the reality. So this actually is Dehe Abhiman. Right? I feel that I am at the center. So, the way I am feeling is important. Or everyone is doing something to make me feel a certain way. So this is the spotlight effect. And this is, one of the main ways the mind can trick us. So let's watch a little clip around it and then we'll move forward. Mhm. Mhm. So what do we learn from this? Mhm. So it's like, the couple of ways in which we can conquer this is once we realize that the reason it started is the kind of a security mechanism, right? And then we realize that it is, the way of the mind to protect ourselves. And then the 10-10-10 rule. So if it doesn't matter in 10 days, 10 months, 10 years, it means the more we stretch the time, the more the ego dies, right? Mhm. The more we are giving space for wisdom to emerge. So this principle, this the science behind it, what was shared in the video, it's called an amygdala hijack. Mhm. Amygdala hijack. So it says there is a normal pathway in the brain and there is a hijack pathway. So when we face a situation, our brain usually sends information to the thinking part first, helping us process and respond calmly. But sometimes when the brain senses danger, even if it's not real, it sends the signal straight to the emotional center. This shortcut causes us to react instantly, often without thinking clearly. And so this is what happens in a normal pathway. Whatever the information senses are giving, they go to the thinking brain, and then the thinking brain filters or processes that information, and then that information goes to the emotional brain, which is the amygdala. And that leads to a calmer response. But when it is hijacked, when we start to take things personally, then it bypasses the thinking brain. It goes straight to the emotional brain. And then instant reaction, no thinking. And that's why many times we think later. We think, oh, I shouldn't have, said that, or I should have, responded in a better way. And this is all because I have taken things personally. Mhm. Because of the feeling that I am at the center, right? I am at the spotlight. And this is again role consciousness. And the more I detach myself from the role, the practice of just experiencing myself as a being of light, as a point of light, it allows me to, you know, just have this normal pathway activated again, right? Otherwise, when the hijack means the role is hijacked, right? Or kidnapped, right? And that's what Baba also says about Sita being kidnapped by Ravan, is actually the soul being kidnapped by these, right? By these thought patterns. And it again boils down to just taking a moment to feel my true identity. And then I can respond in a calmer fashion. There is another very interesting concept in psychology that explains take things personally and it's a kind of an error, and it is called the fundamental attribution error. It's interesting. What does it mean? Fundamental attribution error. So it means if someone else does something wrong, I attribute it to the character, their character. Means if someone is driving harsh on the road, I feel what a rude person. So attributing to character over context. But if I am driving, I'll say, oh, I'm so late. So that's why I'm giving myself the benefit of doubt. So if the same error I have done, I'll say it is because of situations. But if the same error someone else does, I blame it to their character. Oh, this person is like this person is like this, rather than giving them the benefit of doubt. And that's where we start to, fall into that trap. Another way to understand it is, so someone says, sorry, I'm late. There was traffic. So I feel you're flawed as a human. Just accuse, right? So it's like I don't give the benefit of doubt to the other person. Mhm. And this is interesting, right? That where we start judging people very easily. Right? Mhm. And there's another way to think about it. So this one says others equals to internal factors. Right? So if others make mistakes, they'll feel this is all your fault. There's something wrong with that person. Ourselves, external factors. Must have been the win means we attribute to something else. Right? And that's true. And so one way to then, not feel hurt is to, go beyond this feeling, because this is also like a distorted way of thinking. It is all developed in, survival instinct. That's how it developed. So, the more I take time to give benefit of doubt to the other person, the more it will help me to get out of this mental trap. Right? Mhm. Mhm. So let's watch a little story and then we'll.
A man is crossing a river in a small boat. The water is calm and the morning is quiet. But suddenly, another boat crashes into him. Of course, his chest tightens and anger rises, and he's ready to shout, to blame the careless person who ruined the moment. But then he looks more closely and sees that the boat is empty. No oarsman, no intention, no one to accuse. And just like that, his anger disappears. The impact was the same. The inconvenience was the same. Only one thing changed: the story he told himself. This is a Taoist teaching from Zhuangzi. It asks, why do we suffer more when we believe someone meant to harm us? Most of the collisions in life are like this: a rude comment, a delayed message, a careless mistake. We imagine intent, we imagine insult, and we punish ourselves with anger. Zhuangzi offers a radical idea: become like the empty boat. When you don't carry ego, when you don't carry the need to be right, there's nothing for life to collide with. People will still bump into you, life will still be messy, but the unnecessary suffering falls away. This week, when something collides with you, pause and ask yourself, is this an attack or just an empty boat?
that person realized that what struck him was actually an empty boat. And so his whole mindset changed. When he felt that, initially when he felt, someone was in that boat and he intentionally, bumped into him, then he, was feeling all angry. But the moment he saw it's an empty boat, then all his anger just got diffused. So it says, resist the urge to take every bump personally. What if it's just an empty boat? Right? And the truth is that mostly it is an empty boat in terms of, how I feel is actually just the way I have told myself to believe a story, right? And so in this video, it said, we should also think that we are also an empty boat, means there is no role. It's like I just remove the consciousness of the role, empty myself of it, and then just as a soul, then I realize and I can see then everyone as innocent souls. Right? The moment I, start to have any thought of judgment, that's when I'll fall into that trap of taking things personally. So it's like everyone is also an empty boat. I am also empty boat. Empty boat meaning that I have removed the role from the soul. Right? Right? I just see them as a pure energy. And that's why we see, like, when we hear words like egoless, which means empty of ego. Right? Bodiless means empty of body. Right? So, in that way, we can just experience life in a very beautiful way. And here there is another little quote. This one says, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Right? So everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. So it's like, how do I know where am I at in my spiritual journey? Is like, if I feel irritated, even a little bit, it means there is some work I have to do on myself. Right? So when I don't take it personally, I realize that, it's not about blaming anyone or anything outside, but some work or something that I have understood about myself. And then I'll begin that work. So actually, whatever I felt is actually an opportunity for me to do the inner work. And there is another little test that we can give ourselves, and in order to free ourselves from this trap, it's called the stranger test. The stranger test. What it says is, if the same comment came from a stranger whom you'll never see again, would you care? So if someone said something that is close to us, or at workplace, or our family, it will matter more. But if the same comment, someone whom we don't know or will meet only once, we won't, most likely not. When criticism bothers you, ask yourself, would this matter if a stranger said it? If not, don't give it extra weight. Don't give it extra weight. So again, it's like detaching myself from the story. It's like in meditation, right? Just when I detach myself completely from the story, then I just see everyone as an innocent being. It's like stranger. Stranger means that I don't get into their part. I don't get into their story, right? And so it becomes very easy for me to then not take anything personally. So it's called the stranger test. There is another few points that can help us to not take things personally, and they are like little slogans that can help us. So it says 6 reminders to don't take it personally. First is not you. It says it's not about me as much as I think it is. It's not about me as much as I think it is. Again, goes back to the spotlight effect. Then their movie. Each person is the star in their own movie. So every soul is an actor, and everyone is a star in their movie. Then more them, which means others' words reveal less about me and more about them. And it says, judge less. I can love others more freely when I judge them less. We have a slogan outside. It says, judge less and love more. Then it says, just stories. The stories I make up in my head are just that, stories. Then it says, more than you know. There's more than you know going on with them. There's more than you know going on with them. So we sometimes don't know what is going on with others, why they are behaving the way they are behaving, and we become too quick to judge people. And that's where we start to take things personally. So let's watch. So what do we learn from this story? Yeah, it's like we often are too quick to create a story in our mind. That something happens and we feel, oh, this is happening because of, this person is now like this. Right? But everything, it has a reason. So the reason why the little girl, ate both the apples because she wanted to taste and give a better one to her father. Right? So this one says there is another, practice. This one says keep a they were right journal. What did it say? Each week, write down one piece of criticism that was actually valid. This helps separate constructive feedback from unfair judgments. Focus on lessons you can act on and use them to improve and grow. Right? So it's like you don't, feel like you still take, criticism in a constructive way, and then you just take something that was actually valid and then use it to improve and grow yourself. Mhm. And that's what, often Baba says, like, to take others' opinions also to see, how we are doing. And that also happens when we work as a team or something, then we realize what is it that I have to work internally as well. Mhm. Mhm. Sure. There, if I want to summarize some of um, uh, the aspects that we have talked about today, there's another little slide here. So it says how to take nothing personally. How to take nothing personally. So no clouds affect us, right? So first says separate feedback from self identity. Someone disliking your action does not mean they're rejecting you as a person. Someone disliking your action does not mean they're rejecting you as a person. So feedback is different and self-identity is different. Mhm. Right? Stop trying to be understood by everyone. The need to explain yourself endlessly is often fear of being misjudged, not self-respect. Mhm. Right? So I don't need to explain over and over again myself. Right? Mhm. Don't personalize rejection, personalize alignment. Not everyone is meant to resonate with you, and that's not a failure. Because sometimes we feel that way, that we should be at the same wavelength with everyone, but that's often not true. And that's not a very healthy expectation. Mm. Understand that people project what they haven't processed. Unhappy people often transfer their inner chaos onto the safest target around them. Right? So, going back to hurt people hurt people. So, if someone is hurt, they might be just projecting that around them. So, we don't need to take it personally. Mhm. Sure. So, we'll just end with a small video that uh, summarizes what we have discussed today.
Have you ever noticed how some people don't react when criticized or misunderstood? Psychology shows that people who don't take things personally aren't emotionless. They're self-aware. They understand that most reactions say more about the other person than about them. So instead of absorbing every comment, they pause. These are people who've learned the difference between feedback and projection, between someone else's mood and their own worth. They don't ignore everything, they just don't internalize what isn't theirs to carry. Psychologists explain that this comes from emotional maturity. When your sense of self is stable, outside opinions lose their power. So they stay calm, they listen, they let things pass without letting them define them. It's not that they don't feel, it's that they've learned peace is more valuable than proving themselves. Have you ever noticed how some people don't
So when I don't take things personally, it's like I can be myself. And then that's all I have to do, right? And so that's what, when Baba says that there is this self and then there is this drama, not to mix the two. Mhm. And just this simple practice allows us to not take anything personally. Cha Om. Thank you for your time. Let's spend a few minutes just to in meditation as we take a moment and step back, and we realize that we are souls, eternal beings. We are actors in this play of life. And we realize that the act, the mask, is different, and it doesn't define who I am. I'm just an observer, and I go beyond the need to spotlight the role that I play. It's just a role. It's not significant in the larger scheme of things. I realize that if it doesn't matter in 10 days, 10 months, or 10 years, it doesn't deserve a place in my mind. I go beyond the shortcut of the brain to share a calm response when I don't take anything personally. Then I realize that every soul is innocent to give everyone the benefit of doubt, not to judge, but to love everyone unconditionally. I realize that everyone is like an empty boat, and so am I. I strip off the layers of ego to just see myself and every soul as a pure being of light. All this allows me to be myself naturally, to separate the story, the role from the soul, the self. And this allows me to share vibrations of good wishes and pure feelings, to serve every soul around me and in the world. I take nothing personally. Om Shanti. Thank you, Baba. Thank you, family. Sure. So maybe if anyone would like to pull up, share any thoughts, please feel free to. Om Shanti. Those online can go first. Yeah, we have a few angels here. And share.
We land into such situations where we start overthinking. And because of overthinking, we tend to take things very personally. So I guess like when we start overthinking, we have to stop ourselves and say like, okay, I shouldn't go this route. This is not good for me and come back. So that really helps in order to eliminate that. But at the same time, I have been in situations where I didn't take things, but the other person had in his head, and it came back to me very roughly, despite of me not, keeping that in my mind. So in such situations, how do you handle?
Right. Yeah. It's like the more we develop this capacity to really see everyone as a spiritual being and not to get to their story, the more then, it's like the subconscious starts to change. Because at a conscious level, we are making effort, but it all boils down to this practice of self-consciousness. At subconscious level, then we, automatically the first response is of good wishes. So every day, just have this, this feeling wherever I talk to them as a pure soul, and not to see them in their personality. It's really simple in that way. But yeah, it does take some time to develop that nature in a natural way.
So basically, like not letting your aura get affected by their negativity and keeping yourself clean and thinking like, okay, it is their journey, it is the drama, what we are going through, and it's bound to happen that way. So just let it go.
It's important not to tap into whatever their story is, because the moment I do that, at that very moment, I then take it all inside me.
Shanti Sarabhai, thank you so much. I think this was a wonderful session. I think I really liked the empty boat story. That how we have to firstly think of the self also as an empty boat, but also think of everybody else. And then the 10-10-10 rule was like a good thing that I need to work on. If it doesn't matter in 10 days, 10 months, 10 years, it actually shouldn't take a space in my mind. And then the 4 options shown on how to take nothing personally, I think those were really key takeaways for me. So thank you, Shanti. Thank you.
Shanti. Good class, good topic. And also, when we take things personally, that is not good for our health, wealth, and everything. Just we should bother for ourselves, and we should not bother that for the other things about me, or because they're just saying for their sake of saying many times, not seriously. So I should be convinced by myself that I am doing correct thing. What others say, I should not bother for that. Thank you so much.
So we are about to say that everything.
I think it's fun. Any other thoughts anyone would like to share?
Om Shanti Sarabhai. Thank you. I joined in the middle, I really like the part he said, amygdala hijack. That part is, I really like that. And usually amygdala is for fight, flight, and freeze part when external threat happens. But whenever there is internal threat, also brain cannot perceive whether it's external or internal. That's why whenever we are thinking negatively, taking personally, they also think that our brain think that it's external threat. It like some animal are chasing us. That is a time when amygdala lights up. So I think you said so that flowchart really well. The amygdala part hijack suddenly when we take personally. It bypass the prefrontal cortex and directly amygdala start, and amygdala will produce a lot of. From there, it produces a lot of adrenaline and cortisol, and it damages us. Yeah, thank you. Om Shanti.
Thank you for sharing, Kusumbay. Great. Cha. Any final thoughts anyone would like to share? Cha. So have a good rest of the evening. Om Shanti. Thank you.